Hello and welcome to Political Science 1010, Introduction to American Government and Politics. I am sorry for the weather problem today, but I know that for me and probably for many of you, it was safer to just stay home instead of trying to drive to campus. So Blackboard helps with this though, and the nice thing is that we'll be able to do a variety of things like this if there are other kinds of bad weather days or other kinds of cancellations like that. So my name is Professor Conger, and I teach this political science class, among others. I study American politics, generally speaking, state politics more specifically. This is my fourth year here at the University of Cincinnati, but I've taught at a number of other places, and I've taught this class pretty much every semester for the last 15 years. So I love teaching this class, and it's great fun to have all of you guys learn about American politics, to understand some of the stuff that you maybe thought you knew, but in reality, things are more complicated and much more interesting, I think, than most people realize. So for this class, our TA is going to be Danny McLaughlin. Obviously, I'll introduce you to her in person on Wednesday, but her contact information is also in the syllabus, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. She's going to be the primary person to deal with in terms of things like extra credit assignments and recording of attendance and things like that. But we may have some help from some other graduate students throughout the semester at various times too. So this is an introduction to American politics and government. And so how this class is set up is that we spend the first third of the class basically talking about the basics of American government and politics. We talk about the founding and the Constitution. We talk about the nature of democracy and what a capitalist system looks like and how that fits together with American democracy and the American Republican form of government. Then in the second third of the class, we talk about basically the politics side of American politics. So we talk about the things that help people to get their information, get their needs known to government, and the other kinds of things that are important for the actual decision-making and issues of our system. So things like public opinion and interest groups and social movements and political parties and the media. All of that happens in the second section of the class. And then in the third section of the class, we talk more specifically about the institutions of government. So we take all that information that we've had so far about the basics and about how politics works, and we apply that into the institutions of government. So this is stuff like Congress and the presidency and the court system and the bureaucracy. And then we end in the final 2 weeks of the class talking about civil liberties and civil rights. And so that's pretty much how the course operates from beginning to end in terms of the whole semester. So we're not going to have a chance to go over the syllabus in class because we're not having class today. So I just want to point out some important details for you to take a look at. The syllabus is posted on Blackboard where you're viewing this video, obviously, and I will also kind of give you a little tour of what's available on this Blackboard site in a few minutes. But if you look at the syllabus that's listed under the syllabus and schedule link in Blackboard, what you'll see is some good information about the class. So things like where we meet, which is in Old Chemistry 525. It's the lecture room in the old Chem building. So if you haven't found that classroom yet, make sure you take a look around before class on Wednesday morning. My office is in Crosley Tower, which is the big ugly building on near the library, the real tall building that looks sort of like a tulip. That's Crosley. It can be kind of hard to find, so your best bet is to go through Rivishell to get into it. I'm on the 12th floor in Crosley 1208. Your TA Laura's office is also on the 12th floor of Crosley in 1210A. The political science department and my mailbox is on the 11th floor. So don't worry if you get off on the 12th floor and you don't see much that looks like a department, that the poli-sci department is spread across those two floors. My office hours are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday directly after this class from 12:15 to 1:15. And generally speaking, I'm only on campus Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but I am definitely available for office hours or for meetings at other times besides those office hours at your convenience. So just send me an email and we can figure something out if you can't come during my normal office hours time. So Some of the other things that you should pay attention to is that the student responsibilities in the syllabus. So basically, this is a big class, and so what we try to do is try to be a combination of lecture and then also particularly group discussion and interaction with me. So just because it's a big class doesn't mean that we can't have good conversations. So your responsibility is to make sure that you read the assigned section of the book before you get to class, so that we can talk more about application and implications of the things that you read, as opposed to just going over data and the stuff that you have read. The things that you probably want to know are about how this class will be evaluated. Well, there are 3 exams, one for each section of the course. The first midterm is worth, let me make sure I get this right. The first exam is worth 25% of your grade. The second exam is also worth 25% of your grade. And the final is then worth 30%. And these will take place throughout the semester. Exam 1 is on Wednesday, February 7th, so basically a month from today. And the second exam is Wednesday, March 7th. And then the final is Monday of finals week at 9:45 in the morning. So the things that you will also need to remember are that, one of the things you need to know is that I don't take attendance, but I do frequently have work that happens in class that you will turn in, both as individuals and in groups. And that's sort of the way that I keep track in terms of attendance. Now, I guarantee you that this is not a class that you can just sort of read the book and show up for exams. You have to come to class. Otherwise, there's lots of stuff that won't make sense. And I can guarantee your grade will go up just by attending. I also give pop quizzes in class. And the goal of those pop quizzes is usually for you to determine how well you're taking notes in the class. So those are also part of your participation in in-class work. All of that is worth 20% of your final grade. An important piece of this is that I don't allow makeup of in-class work for any reason, mostly because I don't want to have to figure out if your note from your doctor is legitimate or anything like that. You guys are adults, you make your own decisions, and how I set this up is that you have, in the final sort of accounting for the class, you get 2 drops for in-class work, and you get 1 quiz drop. Plus, then I also offer extra credit, which is worth quite a few points, and we'll talk about that next week. So just be aware of that, that thing is built in, and I just don't allow makeup for in-class work. Now, obviously, if something dramatic happens, if you get mono or you're in the National Guard and you get called up, come talk to me. We'll figure things out. But that's, for most people, this is a policy that works pretty well across the board. The next thing that you need to pay attention to is that you will also be grading yourself and your partners for discussion. So next week, again, I'll introduce groups, so discussion groups for in-class work. So anytime that we have a set of questions that I want you to talk about in groups, it'll be in the same group. And you'll evaluate each of the group members' contributions to those conversations at the end of the semester as part of the participation grade. So also in the syllabus, there's sort of an overview of how much each portion of the class is worth and how that fits. There's a big section on student assistance opportunities, stuff about disabilities testing, and this class I've taught this class enough that I've got lots of ideas of how to do good adaptations for some kinds of disability stuff. So I'm very willing and able to talk to you about that stuff for testing and even for note-taking and homework stuff. Also, pay attention to the plagiarism statement and the other assistance statements for things like Title IX and mental health facilities. So at the end of the syllabus is the schedule that tells us what we'll be doing every day in class. So that's an important thing to pay attention to because it will tell you what is happening on any particular day and also those days that we don't have class. For example, next Monday on the 15th where we don't have class for the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So in terms of all of these things, take a look at the syllabus, and when you have read through it, there is a syllabus quiz that you will need to complete because I don't print out paper syllabi, and I want to make sure that everybody's read the syllabus thoroughly. So where that will be available to you is under the Assignments tab on the left side of your Blackboard class screen. Now, I just wanted to take a quick talk through what's on Blackboard so that you know how it can be useful to you in this class. It's set up like most classes. It has a course homepage, it has announcements, and any announcements for the class, particularly during class time, will show up on Blackboard, and if they're urgent, like this morning, I will send them out to you by email. There's my faculty info, so how to reach me, my email address, and my office number. Then in the second section, you'll see my grades and assignments. That's also where groups and exam review sheets will end up being posted. Now, the other thing that is on that section is something called Class Notes Outline. And one of the things that I want to tell you about is that I do post the PowerPoints that I use for class every day, and they get posted in advance. So if you're a person for whom those notes will help you, or those PowerPoints will help you organize your note-taking in class, please feel free to download those and use them however you want to. One caveat though, those are outlines. I am of the PowerPoint persuasion of I only have 5 or 6 words on every PowerPoint. So the goal is to give you an outline, an overview of the important stuff that we're talking about in any given section. So you're not going to be able to use them as a substitute for coming to class, but they are there to help you take notes, to help you review for the exam, and anything else that will kind of help you organize yourself. Please feel free to ask me questions about those as we go forward through the semester. The last thing that I want you to notice on Blackboard is something that even if this is only your second semester at UC, should be familiar to you, and that's the attendance verification tab. That's a non-graded little assignment that the registrar's office asks us to have you do sort of as a verification of attendance in the course. So if you could please do that at your convenience, that would be great. The syllabus quiz is posted, and it is due by the end of the day on Wednesday, January 17th. Now I know that's a long time away, but I also know, especially for this class, there's a lot of adding and dropping in that first week. So my goal here is just to have you all have a good handle on the syllabus by the time we start actually recording points, which will be next week, starting on the 17th. Finally, there was some stuff that I wanted to do in class today to sort of give us some familiarity with the topic and to sort of get us started. You'll notice in the first set of notes outlines that there is a quiz. It's called the citizenship quiz. And so before the beginning of class on Wednesday, please take a minute and jot down your answers to those questions. You're not going to turn anything in, but what I want to do is I want to use that to help us understand where we're going through the rest of the semester. So we'll talk about that at the beginning of class on Monday. So that's pretty much everything you need to know in the start out of Poli-Sci 1010. Again, please send me email if you have questions. That's always the best way to reach me, is through email. Please take a minute to do the attendance verification, do the syllabus quiz, and then also take a few minutes to jot down your answers to the citizenship quiz. I'm glad to have you all in Poli-Sci 1010 with me this spring, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person on Thursday.